Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday episode of Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. Do not adjust your screens. Ken Rosenthal is finally taking a few days off to reflect on his life choices. I am your host for the day, Alanna Rizzo, joined by Robert Murray, MLB insider for Fansided. Obviously, great to have Robert with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this for us. Looking forward to a good day because there's a lot to talk about, Robert. Let's get right to it and start with the league.
Yeah, the Roman Anthony extension here with the Boston Red Sox sent shockwaves throughout baseball because it was not something that anybody really anticipated. There were some conversations early on in the offseason, but as soon as the trade deadline ended up getting done, the Boston Red Sox were very aggressive in trying to get Roman Anthony extended. And from what I gather, from start to finish, it may have taken about 48 hours. And by keeping Roman Anthony in Boston long term, this was a huge move for the Red Sox and for Roman Anthony as well. And for the Red Sox, it gets Anthony, who's one of the top young players in Boston long term, $130 million, which could end up being a huge steal in the long run. And for Anthony, it gets him in Boston for at least 8 seasons, perhaps 9 with a club option. For all sides, it's a good move. I know there's some controversy and some people who think it maybe wasn't like the best move for Anthony, but you can't fault the guy for taking $130 million.
No, absolutely not. I also want to welcome our new friends watching on NBC Sports in Philadelphia, the Bay Area, as well as California. And Robert, you bring up a really good point. Now, some folks are saying, why would Roman Anthony do this? He's just 21 years old. He's leaving money on the table. He is expected to be one of the big superstars of the game. But you know what? He said yes. And I guarantee you it wasn't just him making this decision. I know, having been at Fenway this week and listening to what everything was going on with Roman Anthony, he talked about it with his family. He talked about it with his agents. And this is a place that he made clear he wanted to play for a long time. What do you make of what he was saying in his press conference?
No, it's by taking this deal, it's very clear that he wanted to be in Boston. Like if he had waited, he may have gotten 3, 4, maybe even $500 million, and that's a projection for sure. But it's also a good projection considering just how good and talented he is and how highly touted he was coming through the minors. But figure you're 21 years old, you have $130 million thrown at you. You're in the town that you want to play in. And I mean, that's just a situation that's too good to pass up if you're Anthony or if you're any player. We even saw Jackson Merrill do it. We saw Corbin Carroll do it. There's been other players who have done it. Anthony, I mean, I can't blame him at all. I know there's some people in the background and around baseball who are questioning why he took it, but he took it for all the right reasons because he wanted to be in Boston, and I can never fault the guy for that.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you think the age is a factor in this, Robert? Because he's only 21 years old. And when he does end this contract, even if the club picks up the option, he's still entering a free agent period at around 30 years old. It's not as if he's going to be 36 when he's able to go to another team. I mean, that has to play a factor into it as well, I would imagine.
Oh, it totally does. And as it should. And I mean, from his age 21 to 30 seasons, he's going to make $130 million. Obviously, it bought out some free agent years, and maybe that could cost him some money then. But he's still going to be in a position where he can land a maybe 10 plus year contract, could end up getting $300-400 million. So by the time it's all said and done, he could be in a position to really maximize his value and get maybe 500 plus million throughout his entire career. So even though he may have left some money on the table now, he's going to be able to make it up in the future for sure. So for him, for his family, they're in a very good spot to be set for life. I mean, shoot, even his great grandkids could end up being set for life. But no, it's a great deal, and it sets him up for future success and earnings as well.
Yeah, Roman Anthony is going to get paid. Make no mistake about that. Okay, Robert, switching our focus now to the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm not certain entering the 2025 season if either one of us would have thought that the Brew Crew would be the first team to reach 70 wins on the season. Are you buying what they're selling?
Oh, I'm totally buying. And how could you not with Pat Murphy? I mean, Murphy is such a calming presence. He's intimidating for sure. Like if you're around him, like you can sense he's like a grizzly bear, but he's also a teddy bear at the same time. And he cares about his guys so much. and he has them believing. And that roster feels like exactly like what Pat Murphy is. He's hard nosed, he's aggressive, and he plays the game. That entire team plays the game the right way, and we even saw it throughout this entire win streak and throughout this entire stretch. They've been by far the best team in baseball. They're putting up runs. They're pitching really well. They're playing great defense as well throughout this stretch, their last win streak here. They haven't had any errors on defense. So they're just playing really good fundamental baseball. I think they're here to stay. And to me, they may not have the payroll of the Dodgers or the trade deadline of the Padres, but they're still a really freaking good baseball team. So I'm absolutely buying everything that's going on with the Brewers right now. And I would not be surprised by the time it's all said and done if they actually represent the National League in the World Series.
Wow, the whole thing, huh? Why do you have so much confidence in Milwaukee being the pennant winner in the National League?
You look at their pitching. Their pitching has been their foundation throughout, the last 5-10 years. And now they have offense as well. They have Jackson Chourio, Christian Yelich, Isaac Collins, Sal Frelick is there. They have, so many young pieces on that team who are just emerging and playing really good, like, as I said, fundamental baseball. And their bullpen is very good as well, even after trading Devin Williams, even after trading Josh Hader a couple years ago. And they added Shelby Miller at the trade deadline. And that was one that actually I was able to drop about 25 or so minutes after the trade deadline. And they only gave up a player to be named later or cash in the deal. And it felt like a classic Brewers move. Well, actually, maybe not classic Brewers move because they added salary in Jordan Montgomery, but an under the radar arm, even when that wasn't the most pressing need for him. He's going to be debuting in the next couple of days. I think it was a great move by Milwaukee, and it strengthened what was already a really good unit for them. So I think they have all the ingredients, especially on defense as well, to just be a force in the postseason.
Yeah, going back and forth with the Chicago Cubs and that NL Central, changing our focus now to the AL West and the Seattle Mariners. Everybody arguing perhaps that the Mariners did the best job at the deadline, getting not only a Eugenio Suarez, but also getting Josh Naylor. And Naylor seems to like playing there because he's raking. What do you make of what Seattle did at the deadline? And are they for real in the AL West, perhaps to win that division against the Astros?
I think they're also legit. I'm on the hype train this morning, but I'm also thinking they're legit. Like they added Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez, and they almost got Joan Duran. And there was at one point that morning that he was traded that I thought he was going to be in Seattle, but they ended up getting the two sluggers, and both of them have been very good since coming to Seattle. And Naylor has provided it with power, but he's also doing it with stolen bases as well from the cleanup spot in the lineup. So everything that they could have hoped for so far has been reality with both of those players, but I don't think anybody necessarily expected Naylor to go 10 for 10 in stolen bases since going to Seattle. It's a stroke of genius by Jerry Dipoto, and it's something that I've said repeatedly. I've said it on Foul Territory a bunch, that the Mariners, they have such a talented team that it only made sense for them to go all in at the deadline or even in the offseason, because I wanted to sign Pete Alonso. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I got to give them credit where credit's due. They actually went all in, didn't sacrifice the future as well, and their chances of advancing to the World Series this year are about as good as they've ever been.
Do you think they have enough offense to hold off the likes of the New York Yankees, who I am very well aware are struggling right now, but the New York Yankees, the Cleveland Guardians, who are still in the mix, the Texas Rangers that are still a part of the conversation? Do the M's have enough?
I think they do. I just need to see them actually do it in order to believe it, because it's one thing to do it in the regular season, but doing it in the postseason is a whole nother beast. And they haven't proven that they've been able to do that in recent years. But this year it feels like they're set up to be different. And adding Suarez and adding Naylor provides veteran leadership. And they're talking about Naylor being one of the better leaders that they've seen in the clubhouse, even since Corey Seager. There was a Mariners reporter who ended up mentioning that yesterday. I thought it was a really astute point by them. But to me, they're in very good shape. I'm not ruling out Texas by any means, because they got better at the deadline. They added Merrill Kelly. Obviously, they have DeGrom. But the most underrated pitcher in baseball who is not getting enough national recognition is Nathan Eovaldi. He has been phenomenal for them this year. He's got an ERA, I believe, in the ones, and he's just been remarkable for them. So The Rangers feel like the scary team. The Yankees are still scary for sure, but this latest stretch for them has me wondering how far exactly they get to the postseason, if they even make it at all.
Yeah, I had that question yesterday over on Nesson on Unobstructed Views. We were talking about how many teams in the American League East actually make the postseason. So let me ask you this. Do you think, well, I'll ask you, how many teams in the AL East make the postseason and how many teams in the AL West make it into the playoffs?
It's a great question. And I'm pulling up the standings right now just so I'll make sure I don't forget anybody. The Blue Jays, to me, I think they absolutely make it for sure. The Red Sox, to me, they're in a position to make it as well. And the vibes around Boston are just very good, especially after extending Roman Anthony. The vibes before that were good, but now that they got Anthony in town and signed long term, the vibes there are great. I'm I'm gonna leave it at that. I as of this point, maybe it's an overreaction to their latest stretch, but I don't think that the Yankees are gonna end up making the postseason. That's kind of my hot take for right now. So if I'm wrong, people can clip this and expose me, which I would deserve that for sure. Um, but going to the AL West, I have the Astros making it, I have the Mariners making it, and I somehow have the Rangers squeaking in, even after their early season struggles. So I think we see more teams out of the AL West than we do the AL East.
Wow. Okay. I do agree with you on the AL East. I think it's the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. I don't think the Yankees make it. I think there's two also in the AL West, the Astros and the M's. All right. Much more to come with Robert Murray here on Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. We're going to get those questions in. We're doing Grillin Robert today. So get those questions in. We'll be back right after this.
Kratz, there are a lot of people out there that pay rent and they don't get anything for it.
Might as well change that. You can get some rewards for flights, hotels, tons of stuff.
With Built, you can earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards airlines, hotels, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. It doesn't stop there. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants and enjoy experiences just for Built members every month. They're turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood, wherever you call home, by going to joinbuilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/foul. Go for it.
This is great. I love the front end with Grillin Robert. Of course, we're talking with Robert Murray, MLB insider of Fansided. Robert, we have a couple of questions. Before we get to our folks on the YouTube chat, I want to ask you what this is like. I mean, being an MLB insider is not an easy job. It's not for the weak. So tell me a bit about your trade deadline recovery program. How you feeling?
You know, if you would have asked me that question about 3 days ago, I could barely speak. I was mentally exhausted. I was in Chicago, and usually you're out doing different things, and I was in bed by about 7 o'clock. So that was pretty pathetic of me. But now I'm starting to feel a lot better. The recovery has just been trying to stay off my phone as much as possible because my social battery was at about a zero. Because my days throughout the trade deadline typically start around 4 a.m. and got done around 11 or 12 p.m. So long days for sure, but staying off my phone, trying to cuddle with my dog Cooper, who is chilling behind me right now. I mean, you got to give Cooper a shout out on the show. But he's been an absolute hero throughout this entire stretch.
Yes, Cooper, my guy. Love dogs, love Cooper. Okay, let me ask you this. This is a question from our chat on YouTube. Thanks for being here, you guys. We always appreciate it. Daniel Rothenberg wants to know, question for you and I, do you think any interim managers will stay on for next year? If not, who are the top manager candidates? Who's going to get rewarded?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any interim managers who end up staying in place this year. Maybe in Washington, but I'm gonna try to branch out a little bit here. The obvious one is Skip Schumacher, and he is going to be the top candidate for so many different teams throughout the league. And when he left Miami, he was asked about plenty, like behind the scenes with me. Like people were wondering where he could end up going or what his future may end up looking like. He's in Texas now. I don't expect it to be a very long stay in Texas unless he ends up replacing Bruce Bochy down the line. But he stands out to me almost immediately. I'm going to go an under the radar candidate here, and this is going back to my ties with the Milwaukee Brewers, but I would go with Walker McKinven. He's the current bench coach of the Chicago White Sox. He is as respected of a coach or just a baseball person as I've been around in Milwaukee. And he's smart, he's analytical, former player in college. He's somebody who I'm definitely keeping an eye on for sure. And the last one would be Walt Weiss. I could see him being a candidate in Atlanta should Brian Snitker end up retiring at the end of the year as expected. So those are the three names that I'm keeping an eye on, both now and long term.
Yeah, Walt Weiss has had managerial experience, obviously, with the Colorado Rockies, longtime baseball man. All right, our focus is now on the New York Yankees. We cannot make it through a show without talking about the Pinstripers. They are struggling. Zach G wants to know from you, Robert, do the Yankees have an Aaron Boone problem or a player problem? Devin Williams was chosen to pitch game 1 and 2 in Texas and handed the win to the Rangers both games. That is Zach G's opinion. Is it a managerial issue or is it a player issue?
That's a good question, Zach G. And I wonder if it could end up actually being like an organizational issue, because you see just the overall mistakes that they make. I talked before about the Brewers and just how fundamental they are on the baseball field and just how well they play. The Yankees make so many like mistakes on the field that it makes you wonder what exactly they're being taught in the minors or just in general. So I can see it being an organizational issue, but I also think it's also a managerial issue as well. And clearly something is not going right in New York. I don't think they're going to end up making a change anytime soon or like during the season here. If they make a change, it would probably be after the season, but they're about as patient of an organization as there possibly is, but something has to change there. Like whether it's the way they're teaching the players, the message to the players, or just whatever they have to do, something needs to change. And that absolutely stems with Aaron Boone, because Brian Cashman's handed him a very good roster.
Sticking along the lines, the topic of managers, is Pat Murphy the man to beat as far as NL Manager of the Year? If it's not Pat and his pancakes, who is it?
I mean, how can you turn on a pancake man for this? I mean, absolutely, it's Pat Murphy. Yeah, the job that he's done in Milwaukee is remarkable, and they were written off going into the year after losing Willy Adames, after losing Devin Williams. It felt like how we were talking about them in previous years after they traded away some of their best players. And yet time and time again, they've been able to just prove people wrong. And this year's been their finest performance. And to me, Pat Murphy is absolutely the favorite to win Manager of the Year. He's deserving of it going back to back. And I mean, he's got competition in Miami because what the Marlins are doing and Clayton McCullough, the job that he's done there has been tremendous. But it's got to go to Pat Murphy. I mean, who expected this deep into the regular season for the Brewers to have the best record in baseball? Not me, even though I did have them winning the division. At least I think that's something that I had. But no, it's just incredibly impressive, the job that he's done.
Yeah, Pat Murphy's a lot of fun to be around too. And as you mentioned, he's very stern, but he also has a very fun and playful side about him as well. Obviously, the guys like playing for him. He's probably the front runner as far as that category is concerned. All right, Max, what's up? Great to have you with us. What do you think the plan is for Rhys Hoskins upon return from the IL, given King Von's emergence for the Brewers?
Yeah, it's a great question, Max. And for the Brewers, they got to figure that out. And something that I found out during the trade deadline is they were looking for infielders, and they were looking at Ryan O'Hearn. They were looking at Eugenio Suarez. They were interested in both players and tried acquiring either one. Obviously didn't get either. So I'm wondering what exactly it could end up meaning for Hoskins' future in Milwaukee. This year, I mean, I don't know how you end up keeping a guy like Andrew Vaughn out of the lineup. The job that he's done is just incredible. Hoskins is obviously a very talented player, but if I'm Milwaukee, you got to ride the hot hand, and you got to keep Vaughn in there, and that could end up meaning a lesser role for a guy like Hoskins, or even moving him to a DH spot or something along those lines. But you have to end up keeping Vaughn in the lineup for sure.
And by the way, make sure you guys tune into Foul Territory today. Scott Braun, of course, is the host with the other guys, but Andrew Vaughn of the Brewers is going to be one of their guests on Foul today. All right, much more with Robert Murray coming up here on Fair Territory. We're going to talk about Dude and Dork of the Week right after this.
It's summertime, it's bathing suit time, and it's time to get a better bathing suit liner. It's 2025, Kratz. I would like to feel more comfortable, and I would like to thank Fair Harbor for doing that.
It's super easy. Get the Fair Harbor Breeze Knit liner in your shorts. You can go play football on the beach. You can play paddleball, and you don't got to worry about that crappy liner that other bathing suits have.
It is so comfortable. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's like butter, baby. You got to check out the Fair Harbor, not only bathing suits, but they carry a full line of casual clothing, shorts, shirts, hoodies. Go to the website, fairharborclothing.com/foul, and use code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. That's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul for 20% off your first purchase. And make sure that you use the FT promo code so that they know we sent you and you get the discount, FOUL.
BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM's Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Visit the BetMGM app to access the game, and you'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. Strikeout? No problem. Try again tomorrow. Gambling problem or concern? There is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dude.
All right, Robert, this is where you and I get to give props, give our flowers, give praise to a person, a persons, an organization that is doing something good. Who is your dude of the week?
I mean, how could it not be AJ Pierzynski? End up being Hall of Pretty Good. I believe that's what he got elected to. I mean, does it get absolutely better than that? To me, that's better than being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Come on.
I got to make AJ feel pretty good on this show. But that, along with his speech that he ended up having, I mean, that's as good as it gets. So major props to AJ. If you haven't had a chance, go watch his speech, which I believe is on the Foul Territory Twitter account. So props to him. But what about you?
Yeah, AJ Pierzynski, we love you. Congratulations on being in the Hall of Pretty Good. You got to love it. My dude of the week is an organization. It's actually both sides of the equation, Robert. I'm going to give props to Craig Breslow, the Boston Red Sox front office team, their ownership group, and Roman Anthony and his team for coming together on what was a very tight-lipped but very quick deal to extend the Roman Empire for the foreseeable future at Fenway and with the Boston Red Sox. This is a kid, obviously, that is going to likely be a superstar, right? He just signed an 8-year extension, I believe, $130 million. Could have waited, could have forced it into, arbitration, free agency, all those types of things, but knew he wanted to be in Boston. And good for Craig Breslow and the Red Sox for realizing that they needed to lock up one of their young stars and maybe atone for the sins, if you will, of letting the likes of the Mookie Betts type go, getting rid of Devers, which I understand that whole thing. But maybe they're turning a page with how they're handling young stars. Now, the next order of business is to sign Alex Bregman to a long-term deal. I live in the Boston area. Vibes are high. You mentioned that. People are feeling good. Let's get Breggy locked up. Congratulations to Roman Anthony. Those guys are my dude of the week. All right, time now for our dork of the week. Robert, this is when we're like, what are these people doing? Who's your dork of the week?
We talked about how high the vibes were in Boston, but you got to look at the New York Yankees and their struggles end up contributing to the high vibes in Boston. So I'm going with Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone as the dorks of the week. Cashman acquired 3 different bullpen arms at the trade deadline, and Jake Bird, after a couple outings, was immediately demoted to AAA. The rest of the relievers, David Bednar, struggled right away. Camilo Doval has struggled. So all 3 of the guys that they targeted to have the super bullpen have struggled almost immediately. So I absolutely have to have them as dorks of the week because it feels right. I expect them to bounce back at some point, but the struggles right now with the Yankees are too much to ignore. So Cashman and Boone, I'm sorry, but you are indeed the dorks of the week.
Yeah, they are struggling, but at least they're not the Colorado Rockies, Robert. I tell you why. The Rockies have a run differential. Listen to this, and this is not a misspeak. They have a run differential of minus 316 for the season. Their 114 games are the fewest to reach a minus 300 run differential since 1900, surpassing the 1911 Boston Rustlers, with 118 games. The last team to reach the mark in fewer games was the 1899, you weren't breaking news back then, Cleveland Spiders in 73 games. The Colorado Rockies, I believe, gave up 63 runs over the course of their most recent series. 63 runs, the Colorado Rockies. The Monforts are my dorks of the week. Something with that organization absolutely needs to change. It is unbelievably embarrassing. They're not even a big league team. I do not fault the players. This is not from a lack of effort for the players at all. I know that they want to win. It obviously wasn't Bud Black's fault because they're still not winning with their interim manager. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and I'm sorry for the fans, and I'm sorry for the players. All right, that is my dork of the week. Much more here. If you're watching on TV, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. We have a couple more minutes with the YouTube fam right after this.
Hey, an easy way to support the show and wear super comfy clothing is by heading to foulterritoryshop.com. Yes, foulterritoryshop.com is loaded with Foul Territory gear and lots of Fair Territory gear. If you want to give some love to Ken and Alanna, go check out a hat, a t-shirt, and a lot more. Coffee mug in the morning? foulterritoryshop.com is the spot.
All right. We appreciate that. Scotty B, don't forget Fair Territory or Foul Territory follows us right after this. Let's talk about Kyle Schwarber right now leading the league in terms of the National League in home runs. This guy is so much fun. I love this team. I love Kyle Schwarber. How much fun is it to watch what he's been able to do? We know he's a banger, but he's easy to root for.
Oh, he totally is. And in my eyes, besides Shohei Ohtani, he's my favorite player in ball. And Schwarbombs are absolutely electric. He's thrived in Philadelphia. He's thrived in Boston. He's thrived almost everywhere that he's been. I mean, he did so in Chicago, but not to this level. And we're at the point now where he absolutely belongs in the MVP conversation. Do I expect him to win it? Like, no, but his name should absolutely be mentioned within like the top 5 or even top 3 candidates for sure. And it is setting up for what should be one of the most interesting free agencies of this entire offseason. And Schwarber is going to have a huge market I would expect Philly to be involved. Boston makes a lot of sense as well. And for a guy who was once non-tendered by the Chicago Cubs, he's probably going to have 500 home runs throughout his entire career. He's a very strong candidate for the Hall of Fame, especially the Hall of Pretty Good. He's better than pretty good. But he is absolutely one of the more underrated players in ball, and he should be rewarded for it this offseason.
All right, less than a minute to go in the show. Does Kyle Schwarber win the home run race in the National League? And if so, who is it if he's not it? And what about the American League?
Yeah, I think it'll end up being Schwarber in the National League. I'm not going to bet against Kyle Schwarber, especially leading the National League in home runs going into a free agent year. That to me is a pretty special deal. In the American League, I'm going to bet on Cal Raleigh. I think he ends up doing it. I know Judge is a fierce competitor, but I'm going to go with Cal.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet in the American League. Robert, thanks so much for pinch hitting today for me, and thanks for letting us pick your brain a little bit. Ken Rosenthal will be back next week. I think I'm with you guys on Monday as well. Don't forget, Foul Territory is next. Scott Braun, Cameron Maben, Kevin Pillar, welcoming Andrew Vaughn and Jack Harris. I'm also hosting Dodgers Territory today. Jill Painter-Lopez joins me. And again, special thanks to you, Robert Murray. Check out his work on fansided.com. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.